0-2 back in the day was really difficult because you didn't have that 17th regular season game to maybe make up for it. And you'll see the stats since 1990, new playoff format, or the most recent, prior to the most recent playoff format game, 11 or 12%. You'll see
something like that. Yeah.
Somebody might round up, round down. If you're 0-2, it's not great for you to find your footing, but it has happened, and it's happened most recently. The Bengals last year started 0-2 when Joe Burrow missed most of the summer with an appendectomy, forcing him to miss some time. And so you could take a look at that from last year and say, why not this year? Well, it's because Joe Burrow, 0-2, strolling off the field in a home division loss to the Ravens, limping to midfield like he was Fred G. Sanford. Because the calf injury that caused him to miss all of the summer this year. Now, that's something, the appendectomy, as long as there's no surgical complications, you just need to gather yourself and get, in football shape. And by late September, those 2 losses to start the season, you could turn that frown upside down. This one, though, feels different, and I am genuinely concerned for the Cincinnati Bengals because they have, thanks to their division championship many times over, the dreaded first-place schedule. And the Bengals now 0-2 have a Monday night game against, hey folks, Puka Nakua's coming to the Queen City. Laugh all you want.
Hey, that's my guy.
Laugh
TMG.
all you want. He's being targeted right now. They're targeting him right now. They're targeting him now. They're targeting him tomorrow. They're targeting him at the airport. They're targeting him on the plane. They'll be targeting him on the tarmac. He'll be targeted on the tarmac like he's Lane Kiffin at USC.
Hey, come on.
Is it hashtag too soon?
Come on.
Hey, yo.
And then they are at Tennessee, at Arizona. You could sit here and say at Tennessee, but ask the Chargers about that, and we'll get to that in a second. Home for Seattle, which proved its mettle quite a bit yesterday in Detroit.
Yeah,
they banged up the Lions. They beat them up, and then they beat them in overtime.
Big win.
They've got games at San Francisco, home for Buffalo. Obviously, they're division games. They have to visit Jacksonville. They have to go to Kansas City on New Year's Eve. Hey, man.
Yeah.
The question is how is Burrow feeling? This is what Burrow had to say after the game about starting 0-2, the figurative hurt, and now the actual literal injury.
When your quarterback misses camp, it's tough to start fast. It's not an ideal situation. Obviously, you don't want to start 0-2. It's not what we were planning on, not what you want to do at all. But we're going to bounce back. That's what we do. That's all there is to it.
Well, what happened on the calf?
Let's tweak it a little bit again. We'll see where it is tomorrow.
Could you have came back out and played?
Yeah, I was going to come back out.
See what it's like tomorrow. Well, today is tomorrow. I am really concerned. At least, Bengals fans, he is who he is, and I don't think it'll faze him. Plus, you're not in the Northeast. Could you imagine if he had gotten paid like this in New England and Philadelphia or New York, and this is the way it would come out? It would be like, yeah, thanks for the memories the last couple of years, but, bro. And, and Mixon's there, and Higgins is there, and Jamar Chase is there, and right? I mean, it's not like he's missing his Kelsey for a game or his Chris Jones for a game. I mean, this one feels different than last year's 0-2. And then there's a team that doesn't feel different when they're 0-2, even though we're 0-2 for the first time in 6 years. It's just no team loses games where you can't put your finger directly on why other than to say they're the Chargers. You know what I mean? And I say this as a Jet fan. Sorry, Charger fans. I say this as a Jet fan. And you can hear what Brown's going to Brown or whatever. But, I mean, Chargers just have a game in their midst. They take a lead late in the fourth quarter and then let Tennessee get down the field in time to tie the game. And then in overtime,
What was the play calling in overtime?
It was just 3 and out. It was just like, oh my gosh.
Deep pass. Like,
But then I guess you don't have Eckler for the game, and you're in Tennessee, and I took the Titans to win this one because this was one of those games that Mike Vrabel takes his heart pills and buckles up. But the Chargers had, got 300 yards out of Herbert, and then just didn't make the 1 or 2 plays to do it.
They gave up 2 deep balls that Tannehill hit that were kind of crucial.
And so it's leaving the media to ask questions of coaches that he doesn't want to answer, especially because we all know that this is all took a turn despite being up in a playoff game by 1 million points. Someone brought up the Jacksonville loss to Coach Staley moments after the overtime loss to start 0-2.
Wondered whether that Jacksonville loss would.
I'm not worried about the Jacksonville loss. The Jacksonville loss hasn't carried on to the season whatsoever. If you've seen our training camp or you've seen the way we played in the first 2 games, it hasn't had an impact on our team whatsoever. Our team is connected. Our team has played its heart out in 2 games, and we've lost 2 tough games. But it has nothing to do with the Jacksonville game. And if you ask anyone in our locker room, it has nothing to do with the Jacksonville game. And that's just the truth. It's a convenient storyline for you and for everybody else, but it's not the truth. We've lost 2 tough games, but the guys in that locker room, the men in that locker room, they are finishers and they have what it takes, and we're excited to prove ourselves.
You're just now in there. Can you kind of give us a sense of the mood?
Yeah, we just lost a game in overtime, Jeff. So how do you think the mood is? How do you think the mood is? How do you think it is? It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough group in there. There's a lot of pride in that room, okay? And we put a lot into this, and we got a good football team. And so we've lost 2 tough games. We've got to bounce back, learn from our mistakes, and be ready for Minnesota.
I mean, you never hear Brandon Staley like that, like ever. Short and snippy.
Yeah.
He normally handles the media really, really well. And that's, by the way, that is an honest answer. How do you think we feel right now? We're 0-2. Good news for the Chargers is there's no 2-0 teams in their division, and that they can make it up fast in a must-have game. We want to talk about desperate teams. I'm concerned about Minnesota, too. I could have come on the air and said this to start, Friday's show after losing in Philadelphia the way they lost. 0-2 versus 0-2 at Minnesota next week. That is Desperation Bowl on the spot. Loser goes to 0-3. Holy cow, look out below. Good news for Minnesota is the Lions and the Packers both lost, and the Bears look terrible. So that's good news for them. Good news for the Chargers is no one is now, they're not 2 games behind. Bad news for them is after their early bye, home for Dallas at Kansas City. Ooh. And if they don't win one of the next 2 games, go into the bye at 0-4 or 1-3. They come out of the bye, then they come out home against Dallas at Kansas City. Look out. Because they also have games against Baltimore. They also have games against the AFC East. They're playing Buffalo. They haven't even played. They played Miami, and then their division, which is going to be tough, because the Raiders look better despite, what they, I thought that anybody coming into Buffalo would be fodder this weekend based on what happened on Monday night, because the Bills are that good. And so, by the way, is Josh Allen. So those are the 2 0-2 teams that jump out at me from yesterday that concern me the most, who had so much going for them and still may, we're marathoning. We're not yet sprinting here. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.